Well, we're here today. This is a event for We Woke the World, which is a living monument to the many faces and histories of liberty. And today is a very special day because it's the 92nd anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which established women's right to vote. And it also speaks to a history of early women's history that struggled for about a century to achieve that right. The history of liberty is very rich and complicated. One of the elements of it is something called a Phrygian cap, which goes back to the Roman Empire. And it was a cap, a hat that people wore as a symbol of liberty. And it became popular also in the 18th and 19th century in France and America during the Revolution. I found an image of women doing a parade in New York wearing newspaper hats. And I did more research and I came to the conclusion that the reason they were doing this was because of this history of the Phrygian cap, and also because of the various activities and tactics that women were using at the time. Women were actually innovators in the use of public space and peaceable assembly. It was a really amazing history, and when you look into it, what you find is that women were leaders, visionaries, and very courageous and engaged in intense perseverance to achieve this liberty for women, which is really a liberty for everyone, because when a certain group, half of society, is excluded from the right to participate in our society, then really all of us are excluded.
I just wanted to say I really enjoyed making the hats. Like, it was cool to learn about them and why people wore them. I think it was probably, it was pointed out to me that it was probably common knowledge that people would have worn hats like this to make a statement in the parades, and the general public would have known what it meant, that it was just a symbol of liberty, because I think a lot of people today wouldn't realize that that's what these hats mean. For me, I wanted to put a personal touch, and I actually cut a lock of my hair. I don't know if I can touch it. Yeah, I actually cut a lock of my own personal hair and put it on my hat as a representation of the sacrifices that these women made in order to get the right to vote for all of us. So I thought the least I could do is put a piece of me on this hat, and so I'll save this hat forever, and hopefully it'll last forever.
One of the things that underlies this country is this striving for liberty and democracy. And if we don't know what this means, then we can't have a really good attempt at what we're striving for. So today is an opportunity to learn about participatory liberty. In general, when we think of liberty, we think of the individual liberty, the right to free speech, the right to our body, the right to religion, to open up a business. But historically, there's also a participatory liberty, which is the right to participate in decisions about the common good, such as voting. Historically, it was also peaceable assembly and the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. And these were very important in the first 100 years of this country, and very important for women to achieve their right to vote. And what it teaches us is that all the pieces of liberty, individual liberty, participatory liberty, and in the case of both of them, the different ones. So for participatory liberty, the right to vote, the right to assemble at will without a permit, as was possible in the first 100 years, or the right to petition the government is very important because it serves as a check and balance in between elections, so that you and I, everybody, has a voice in our democracy every day of the year, as Thomas Jefferson imagined. And it is what empowers and enables and actually creates individual liberty. Because those who have the right and the liberty to participate on an ongoing basis are the ones who are determining what our liberties are and how we can live. So it's very important as we look today and we see issues that we care about and we participate in elections, that we understand the connection between daily participation for individual rights and participatory collective rights, and what that relationship is. I got involved in this because I was doing research about peaceable assembly. I was doing another project about the use of public space, and I had a law firm give me pro bono constitutional advice, and I started researching this history of peaceable assembly. And as I researched it, I came across information that said women were innovators in the use of public space. And I started delving into that, and I came across this history, and I was fascinated by it. And my interest as an artist is in education. It's in bringing people together to engage in history, to engage in interactions with each other, to try and impact how we live. And we're doing a song called We Worried Woody Would. Now, the history of the movement has a climax in 1917. And at this moment, women had started engaging in the first nonviolent social movement in US history. And as part of this, they started demonstrating in front of the White House. This is the first demonstration in front of the White House. And this is during World War I. President Woodrow Wilson is the president. And the National Women's Party, which is one of the movements, one of the groups of many groups that were engaged in this history, started going in front of the White House, led by Lucy Burns and Alice Paul. And they took quotes from speeches that President Woodrow Wilson was giving about liberty. And they put it on banners, they put it on pieces of paper, and they were there basically shaming the president, saying, we're fighting abroad for liberty, a liberty that half of the people in this country don't have. And they were arrested. They were arrested for blocking the public right-of-way because new laws had been implemented about 20 years prior to that, saying you now needed a permit, which they did not have. So they were arrested, they went to jail, and they were severely mistreated. They were force-fed, they were beaten, they were hung from the tops of their jail ceilings, and it was a very difficult time. They also engaged in a hunger strike, which is something that women were leaders in, and they refused to take bail. They said, we are political prisoners, we've done nothing wrong, we're not going on bail, we're going to stay in jail. And while in jail, at night, they started writing this song to lift their spirits. And singing is actually a tactic they had been using already. They had been writing songs and singing them on the street, but this was a special song because this was a song to lift their spirits, and when you look at the song, it reveals their tactics of nonviolence, humor, courage, and it's a song that we have forgotten. It's a song that every kid in America should learn this song in the 6th and 7th grade and understand our history. This is a national treasure that speaks to the meaning of liberty that was fought by many, many people and that has had a huge impact on this country. So today what we're doing is I've uncovered this song, worked with some musicians to figure out how to sing the tune, and we're going to sing this song and record it. And hopefully from this recording we can share it with other people, add other people's voices to this recording so we have a collective recording, a single voice of many voices that is a national monument that we could sing every year to remind ourselves and to honor this history and to understand the meaning, the complex meaning of liberty.
Part of the Riverside Women's Club, which is a community service organization that's been in Riverside since 1896. And we've been doing community service for the community in various projects for a long time, and women's equality and history is a big part of what we do, and like to just do all that kind of stuff. And this seemed like a fun thing to do, and I love this kind of women's history, suffrage, all that good stuff. I find it a lot of fun. Part of our group, we tell all the women in our organization to come out and participate and all that kind of stuff, and that's how I heard about it through our club. So, this hat, man.
How important is this issue of women's suffrage in the past as women's rights are today?
Oh, it's very important. We wouldn't even have any rights we have today if those women 100 years ago didn't do this. I'm very indebted to them for having the cause and thinking about the women of the future in order to, give us our rights that we can have now. We have a whole bunch of rights that we didn't have before, make us so that we are actual citizens, not just property, and all that kind of good stuff, because we have a voice and something worthy to say. So.
Well, I reside here in Riverside, and I think it's an important event to participate in, and it was the thing to do, and it turned out to be a lot of fun, and I just wanted to do this. It's important that we recognize that 100 years ago, women could not vote, and we could work, we could do other things, but we could not vote. And I believe that a vote is important. It's our opportunity to voice our democracy, our choices in government, and it's the face of liberty.